of the
We
podcast,
do that. We do that
but
too. You can name
but
it. We have
in the
been in them.
podcast, conversation, they were talking about uh, the word feminism, whether you could say feminism or not. That they needed another word for men who want to be supportive of feminism. We needed another word to be supportive of women. That right there. That kind of thinking is why does there need to be another word for us to feel man enough to support women? Why can't you be a feminist as a brother? Why does that make you feel less masculine? Why does that make you, and ask yourself those questions? And if you can't answer those questions, you need therapy, brother.
My last
Can I?
question.
Clowning a dude for being feminist is like clowning a white person for being anti-racist. I just think it's a crazy position to take.
Oh, now he's sensitive about it.
I'm not sensitive. I just
Look,
think
now he's sensitive about it.
I'm just disagreeing with him.
I'm just saying it's like feminist.
You think like women should be feminists?
No, it's just a label that is more aligned with the women. That's all.
it's
Right,
not.
because we live in a society that doesn't support women.
Words mean things. I'm just saying, if you're a feminist, like if it's like
What's a feminist?
a person that supports women's rights.
And you're laughing at me for supporting
No,
women's
because
rights?
the way it's
That's crazy as fuck.
it's just a label. We need to rebrand the term for men. That's all. I don't know what it looks like, but maybe it needs a rebrand.
Why?
Why not?
Because it shouldn't be
Because
called.
it means to support women's rights.
Because it has the word feminine. So what?
It's because it's women that you're supporting.
I know, but it just sounds
sound crazy right
no,
now,
it
bro.
sounds crazy.
No, you
saying,
don't.
A
It's
man,
not.
you're a feminist. Like, no, I'm not. I support women. I don't know.
So does it sound crazy for a white person to be pro-black because they're not black?
All
Or
he's saying,
evolution-
all he's saying,
I'll let him respond.
No, I don't. It's false equivalency. All I'm saying.
how is it a false
It's a
equivalency?
false equivalency.
How?
I'm just saying the word feminist sounds crazy when you label it on a man.
All right, so I'll try this again. So, y'all saw the situation that happened a while back with Mark Lamont Hill and B-Dot. On the surface, the argument from B-Dot seems sophomore. Like, if he's only making the argument of why, it just sounds funny or we should call it something else, I think that was a little lazy. But in essence, he is correct. And it's weird how Mark is a smart guy on the pod. These niggas with 3 last names. He's a smart guy on the pod, but his very point that he made in his example, which you heard about, can we call a white person, will we criticize a white person for being pro-black or whatever? And B-Dot actually correctly said, no, we would call them an ally. We wouldn't call them pro-black, which is odd to me because on these last internets of the last few years, we've been literally saying that black men who have non-black wives can't be pro-black, right? So how the fuck can a white person be pro-black, but black men with black wives can't, non-black wives can't be pro-black? Like, make that shit make sense. But I thought it was weird that, like, I know Mark has to know these things because, yes, there's a difference between black feminism and white feminism, obviously. It was their thing, and then black women co-opted it or tried to, and got put to the back of the bus, which is simply the same analogy with Dave Chappelle's joke about trans, how the white man still driving the car, and then black folks, the black trans or the black gay, is in the back of the trunk. And the white feminist woman is in the passenger seat. The hierarchy still exists. But I just thought it's weird how, like, Mark is a smart guy, but, like, he made these dumbass arguments and got really emotional about B-Dot saying he didn't want to be called a feminist or he thought that we should have a better word for it or whatever. But the irony of that is actual feminist writers, actual feminists in the media and write books have also said the same thing that B-Dot said. Not the same way, but they broke it down. A feminist perspective argues that men cannot be feminists, should be instead identified as pro-feminist allies. So that's something different. That's what B-Dot said to Mark. Everybody's going to shit on B-Dot and say he's dumb and he can't compete with Mark, and Mark shouldn't even be on the show because Mark is so smart and intellectual. He's a 3 last name nigga or 3 name nigga. But B-Dot was correct. According to the feminists, they don't want you saying you are a feminist. They want you to say you are a feminist ally. Why do they do that? One, they have an argument called lived experience. Writers like Jessica Caspin said, or Sally Miller, white feminists, have argued that because men benefit from patriarchy structures, they cannot fully embody the movement centered on a female experience of oppression. Sounds familiar, right? Like that white person, no matter how hard they try to be down, don't we always tell them that, nah, you can't really because you not... Some of these things just feel the same. Another reason why this feminist writer said that the men shouldn't be called and it can't be called feminist is the power dynamic concerns are often raised with men occupying the feminist label can inadvertently lead to them dominating the conversation or be rewarded with basic decent behavior, a phenomenon sometimes called as glass escalator of feminism. So that's like kind of like how the women come over to the MRA side or the men's rights side and they end up being on top and having the most views and making the most money, whereas the men who've been doing it for years, like they argue against the same thing. Every group does this. I don't know what the fuck Mark was talking about. In her book in 2007, Why I'm Not a Feminist, Jessica delivers a sharp critique of how feminism has evolved from a radical movement to a lifestyle brand. While she doesn't argue that men are evil, she argues that the modern inclusive approach, where anybody can just claim the label, has made the movement toothless and ineffective. Here are some key takeaways from that excerpt from her book. The problem with universal feminism is, she argues, is that feminism can be universally accepted by everyone, including men and corporations. It had to become banal, non-threatening, and ineffective. Sounds like some of our movements that get co-opted and get, trickled down. One thing that's weird too is like, Black folks, we will try to argue like everybody got everything through us, through the civil rights movement. And sometimes we're incorrect about that, because even though there are some legislation that was open to like the whites and handicapped and women, a lot of other groups had specific, like, despite what the Democrats tell you, they had specific legislation. The Chinese with their railroad shit, the Japanese and their situation, even Irish, whatever, and Native Americans, they had legislation that directly benefited them. And the language said, no, this is for them. Our shit, which again was a tactic and a strategy going through the civil rights movement, going through what Malcolm X wanted to do it. He wanted to make it national, so he wanted to make it universal, so it can go beyond the borders of the U.S. and go to the whatever that thing is that we fund anyways, and we control anyways. But he wanted to make it bigger than just America. And then the whole point of the civil rights thing, similar argument. So I'm not speaking against it, but the point is still the same. Our shit was just all inclusive, and other people got to benefit from it and grew from it. And we got less of what was there. And again, kind of sort of similar. She's making that same argument, is that when you make shit open, you let anybody in, it's going to get usurped. And then men who already benefit, according to her, this is not my language, benefit from the patriarchal structure and capitalism, blah, blah, blah. They can't separate the two. They will come and usurp it. And again, I do distinctly remember in the 2015s, 2016s, where it was all, maybe earlier than that, maybe the 2010s, 12s, where all the radical white feminists were online exposing all these white male feminist grifters who were just using feminism to get ass. Right? And that's when there was the whole thing of why you can't be calling yourself feminist. I say all that to say is, though, as much as on the surface, all of, Mark Lamont Hill fans view this as another win for him, and even the brother who referenced this situation. Again, I know there's a distinction between black feminism and white feminism, but however, still, y'all co-opted their shit. Y'all like their shit. Yes, Mark Lamont Hill is not talking about some white feminist scholar. He's talking about bell hooks, Alice Walker, black radical feminists who were getting their backs cracked by white men. Nonetheless, you still can't ignore the reality that the whole greater point of feminists did not want to make it all inclusive to everybody. That's some third wave feminism shit. That's some new modern shit where they try to, as a tactic they did that. And then some of them realized, oh hell no, it went too far. Some of these dudes are grifting. You weakening the movement, you weakening the points, you making it about shit that it's not really about. But yeah. Again, B-Dot did not articulate his point well, although he did rebuttal to Mark's greatest point of, well, we sound silly calling a white person he's not pro-black or making fun of him, because no, you're an ally. You can't be, like an equal in a group. You're an ally. You got to sit back, in the back. It's exactly what y'all tell black men with non-black wives. You can't lead the movement. You can't be in the front. All those. I think the one dude on Roland Martin said years ago, like, yeah, I felt some type of way with all those black men in Black Panther Party who had all these light-skinned women, and my mama was feeling some type of way when we went home because they all had light-skinned girls with Rose, but my beautiful chocolate dark mama felt some type of way, like, huh? But I'm saying, point still made, like, we say the same thing amongst our own community, that a black man can't be, a black man with a non-black wife can't be pro-black, or he has to hide in the shadows or donate money or help in some mysterious way where it doesn't get any promotion or public validation. Likewise, we tell the same thing to white people too in that movement. But the problem is we don't have enough power or control to dictate that on either end. Like, you're not stopping whatever the dude who named the black billionaire. You're not stopping him. It was the point I did in that video when I did a video about him years ago. You're not stopping him from fucking doing anything. He controls the media. He owns TV networks. he owns news stations, like online news publications. Like, he's not hiding nowhere. And then the ironic thing about it is most of his work as a black man billionaire with a non-black wife is going to benefit black women more than not, because that's who he hires to work for him, to produce for him, to write for him. Like, they're the ones on the grill and all the other shows more than black men. But anyways, that's just my quick video. I just thought, I didn't think much of it, but then when I'm watching this other video right now with these trying to chastise all black men because some Democrat boule nigga killed his wife in front of the kids. Now this is an indictment on all black men now, and we're all evil, and we all need to take accountability for some shit we didn't do. I just thought it was weird that he brought that up. You know, and again, everybody's grifting, everybody's using this opportunity. I'm already got a video done. I did on my cell phone. I got to upload too, on how this situation, whether it's the African dude who killed his entire family, all his children, or this boule nigga who, Democrat who killed his wife, it's being turned into, oh, black men are violent and domestic violence, and every 2 seconds a black woman is killed by her partner. All these sounding like white supremacists, sounding like sounding like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh real quick on here. Shit is crazy. They doing they funny cherry pick stats of, violent crime and other stuff, and not taking any account to the things we say when we talk to the white folks about, what about education? What about income? What about environment? Like, what about access to this and that? All the excuses we bring, or reasons, no difference between these two, when we're arguing against why, or when we're pointing out, well, it doesn't happen in that neighborhood, it doesn't happen in that income black neighborhood, or when they have this level of education, what are we talking about here? I think that, like I said in that video, not to get into it, only the talented TIF dudes responding the way they responded because they don't want the heat on them. They don't want it looks bad on an organization. So they're centering his mental health instead of centering the women and whatever. But that's what everybody's crying about, basically. It's like, don't talk about niggas' mental health. Well, when can you talk about it, though? Because any other time is, I wish these men in this generation shut the fuck up because they talk too much, blah, blah, blah. But then tomorrow is like, yeah, black men, it's a safe space for you to open up and talk. And, oh, wait, not right now. It's a space for black women to talk right now. So you shut the fuck up. Don't worry about your mental health issues, whatever. That's my video. I'm out. But wait, there's more. All right, so I had to know it had to be some black women who were perturbed about the situation too, despite Lamarck Hill, your brilliant genius over there. While many black feminist scholars emphasize solidarity with black men due to the shared racial oppression, there's a distinct and rigorous tradition of black feminists who argue for autonomous spaces of prioritization, womanism over integrated feminism. The perspective of black feminism on male involvement is more often complex than that of white feminism because of the need to balance fighting sexism within the black community and racism from what's outside the community. Here's 3 examples of how exclusionary or conditional involvement is framed. The excerpt, we realize that the only people who care enough about us for our work consistently for our liberation are us. The logic they argue that black men are often prioritize racial struggles in a way that ignore the silence and struggle of black women. Therefore, the movement in itself must be led and defined strictly by black women to ensure their issues are not sidelined. Mark Lamont Hill. Alice Walker, womanism. Alice Walker coined the term womanism partly as a response to the exclusionary nature of white feminism, but also defined the movement that was pro-woman without being anti-men. However, the definition contains